Hello, sir.
Hi, Rajat.
Okay, great, sir. Great, sir. And I believe in the Gift City also, Philip Capital has initiated its interest of operations, if I'm not wrong, sir.
That's right. We do have a Gift City entity, which is already a member of INX and the National Stock Exchange entity. So we are already participating on both the exchanges.
Great, sir. Great. So, sir, like we know that like Philip Capital is just like Carvey, or you can say the Angel Broking, HDFC Securities, so on and so forth. And from the investors' parlance, I would like to start it from a point uh, which around 90% of the investors actually are not aware of. And post COVID, let me start. If let me set a tone for it. If I'm not wrong, I've come to know that Philip Capital has been one of the largest players in the SLBS segment, securities lending and borrowing. So, and believe you me, in our experience with Philip Capital over last 5 years, what we had done, we had explored that bit. And we also came to know that many of the people were not aware of it. Now, seeing the COVID scenario, now there are the two type of things. Like we want to invest and seeing the market going high, we are jumping onto the things. Now there are a set of investors who have their holdings, who do not want to trade or have their holdings in a loss, so they do not want to book the loss. So how does SLBS, if I may say would be a benefit to them?
So as the name indicates, Rajat, SLBM is essentially securities lending and borrowing market segment, right? In
Yeah.
many countries, securities lending and borrowing is an OTC market. But in India, most of such activities and products have been introduced on the exchange platform. So SLBM was also launched on both the BSE and the NSE platform many years ago, but it obviously had a very slow start because of the way the product is structured. I think a lot of education had to be done. People had to understand what is the purpose of it, and also we have a very thriving single stock futures market. So when is it that people want to use SLBM? So those who own securities are obviously the lenders, and those who do not own securities want to sell it, and therefore they borrow it and sell it, right? So in markets where the single stock future, which is an ideal instrument if it is a liquid counter to take a short position, because you are looking at a decline in the price, SLBM is a very active market. But in India, because SSFs came far before SLBM came, it became a more vibrant market. Indians do like to take calls on the long side or short side of the securities. So SSFs have been a part of our market for the last 15 years, right? But the point that you made is very relevant, that there are a set of customers, whether they are HNIs or they are institutions, who always have a holding portfolio. And that is a portfolio that they do not want to sell for whatever reason, because they think that these are their long term holdings, or this is not the time to sell, whether it is making profit or not making profit. This would mean it could be HNIs, or it could be even mutual funds or insurance companies. For a while, the institutions were not allowed by by their mandate or by their trustees to participate in this segment. But in the last couple of years, mutual funds, insurance companies, and HNIs have obviously all started participating. We have always been a part of this particular market segment because our customer audience is primarily HNIs or institutions. We are not so much of a retail broker as many of the other names that you took, because we do not have the distribution network like the others have, right? So from that perspective, it made a lot of sense for us to keep talking about it. And because we do business with both HNIs and institutions, we actually have both sides of the market almost naturally. So we have institutions who are natural lenders, and we have HNIs who could be the natural borrowers Of course, HNIs can also be lenders, but we do have and we do see that we have both sides of the markets when we talk to our clients.
Okay, great. Now, I will like to, for the public who are here and maybe still sounding these things Greek to them, और अगर मैं आपको काफी सीधे स्पष्ट शब्दों में बता दूं, how it happens. Say, for example, if there is a stock, there is one stock, say, of $100, and there is a lending requirement or borrowing requirement come for around, say, 10 rupees. So that means 10%, 10 rupees of 100 is the 10%. So you can lend it for 10 days, and that 10 rupee per share will come to you. Even if you are having 1,000 shares, 10,000 rupees will come to you without selling the shares. So you are not selling it. Capital gains on selling or those things, transaction costs are not there. There's only the capital gains on the returns that you make. So apart from having a stock, the dividend, bonus, splits, capital appreciation, everything that comes natural to your stock holdings, फ्री का आपको आप समझ लीजिए, you are putting you are putting your stocks on rent, and the cycle for rent is tentatively a 20 days or a 25 days. It closes on the first of the month. So आप ये पकड़ लीजिए, आपके पास if you have a 50 stocks of say 10 lakhs each, you can still have a 15-20,000 of, say, in 45-50 days of extra income just coming by lending the shares. Now, one critical question that I would like to have it. Now, this is something we are not taking any undue risk. There is no speculation. We are not judgmenting about the market. We are not judgmenting how the market goes. We have a stock. There is a requirement come. We already know this. Okay, we are getting say $10 or $100 out of it. We have lent it. Now, one crucial question, and this was actually come to us by one of the investors. We're discussing with him. He said, ki, okay, if we are lending it, if we have lent the shares, if an investor has lent the share for 20 days, now if somebody has borrowed it for the further sell off, what happens if he becomes bankrupt? We know that these shares are under a lien. वो lien पे होते हैं, they have been put like this, and then when the maturity comes after 20 days, they are again pulled back and put into the demat account. So is there any case of a default which happens at the borrower end, or who is the settler, how it happens, say for example?
So the two important things that that we should keep in mind, and this is what has taken time for people to understand or get educated about. One, this entire product is on the exchange platform and therefore the clearing corporation. So the counterparty with which either the lender or the borrower are interacting, although through a broker, is actually the clearing corporation, because they are the ones who are ensuring the smooth settlement. Number two, the borrower who is looking to borrow does not have shares, that particular share, but he needs to have money, right? So what is important is that he may not have the share that he requires, but he needs to have 125 rupees for him to be eligible to borrow. So one thing that the product has ensured is that you cannot actually make a hopeful kind of a thing that आज borrow कर लिया, बेच देता हूँ, जब नीचे जाएगा तो खरीद लूंगा, उसके बाद उसको return कर दूंगा lender के पर. It is not structured like that. You need to show the money. You need to show, and that becomes the upfront margin that the broker is going to charge. And any default that is going to happen or could happen is so penalizing that it is not even as bad as the auction market. It is worse than the auction market, right? Okay. So there is the closeout is at a price wherever the price is. So auction ka jaise hota hai 10%, 25%, it is not limited to that, which is the reason why insurance companies and mutual funds, which are institutions and they handle other people's money, have come out and started lending. If there was, if the structure or the design of the product had these kind of loopholes or did not have, the confidence of institutions, they would not have come forward at all.